Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer. This video is about September, my review of the books I read in September. Not all the books I've read, just books I really enjoyed that I really want to talk about in more detail and recommend to readers out there. So in September, it was an unusual month for me. I read many books, but from only a few authors. Many books I read were the Agatha Raisin series, written by MC Beaton. I read many books that were young adult fantasy, written by Rodda. Then I read a few other books. Many of the other books I read weren't that wonderful, so it just narrows the focus for me in this video. So I'm going to talk about quite a few stories, but only by a few authors. The first book I want to talk about is Look Closer by David Ellis. This book was published in 2022, and I don't understand why it didn't top lists all over the place. It's an amazing story. I don't get why more people aren't talking about this book. It's written so well. There's so much going for it. Characters, setting, the plot, the mystery, the twists and turns. The fact that every twist and turn is surprising. Every twist and turn feels real to the story, and it just shifts the narrative so much. But everything makes sense in the book as well. Just the fact you've got four main characters, that all feel unlikable at certain times. Some feel unlikable all the time, but they're all engaging. You're drawn into all four characters. You can't help but be drawn into them. And it's so cleverly done, this book. They all feel consistent. They all surprise you. You'll have assumptions about them all, and then you'll be just changing your assumptions because this book makes you change your assumptions. This book makes you want to guess what's going to happen next. When you read this book, I guarantee you won't want to read it and then take a break. You want to keep reading it and don't put it down. I couldn't. I had to keep read it in one setting because it's just so good. So basically this book just follows these four characters and they all want something. And they all want it by any means necessary. But they're trying to hide the fact from the people that are in their lives, people they're meant to love. And people they're meant to be working for, or people they're meant to be friends with. They're trying to hide who they really are, what they really want. And can they do that? Can all these characters lie and be deceptive and get away with it? When you have four characters who are all being deceptive and lying, and then trying to convince other people in their lives, even the police, they're telling the truth. Can they all get away with it? And this book is told in past and present narrative, and it all matches so well. The past narrative is very close to the present narrative. I think at the start of the book, the past narrative is about 3 months, maybe 2 months before the present narrative, and it merges towards the end of the book. But I just found both narratives so thrilling and engaging. I found the mystery in the present narrative very engaging. The first chapter is an amazing hook. You'll be dragged into the book from the first page even, and just keeps going from there. Every character in this book is just believable. Even the police characters, their investigation feels so real. I enjoyed this book so much. I can't just say enough about it. This book is amazing. It's Look Closer by David Ellis. The next book I want to talk about is The Enemy by Charlie Higson. It's the first book in a series, and I enjoyed this very much. So the basic setup is something happened in the world, and everybody over 14 years of age either died or turned into some sort of creature. And the creatures kind of feel like zombies, but they've got twists to them. So they're not a true zombie as zombies go in stories, but they are zombie-like. And I enjoyed that in this book. The whole setting is dystopian. It feels very grey, feels very atmospheric in this book. And all the kids, though, are written to feel older than they are. And that annoyed me a little bit in the story, but I can understand why that is, because you've got characters who are all under 14 years of age. But what they're going through are things that adults go through. They're trying to survive in this world. They're trying to survive being attacked. They're trying to defend themselves against these creatures and against each other sometimes. So they've got all these things going on that are adult things they've got to deal with. So of course you've got to have these characters that are a bit older than they actually are in the story, because the things that are happening to them are quite dangerous, quite deadly. There are all these kind of adult themes going on in the story with these younger characters. So I get the fact that even though the characters are young, they feel a bit older in the story. But the way the story plays out is really enjoyable. You're engaged with it. I was engaged with it from the very start, and didn't let me go. I had to read it very quickly because it just made me want to read it. This book is so enjoyable. It moves so fast. It's got action, drama. It's got sci-fi elements. It's got horror elements. And we've got these characters who are main characters as well, and they're being killed off. The author doesn't care which character is killed off. And that's a bit shocking in a story like this. But I get the impression that all through this series, it's going to happen. You don't know which character is going to be killed off when or where. Happen any time in the story. And that's what makes this story so engaging as well, because you get to know these characters and you wonder, are these characters safe? It's not one of those books where you know people get in danger, all the characters are going to get away. It doesn't happen like that in this story. Characters can die at any time, even main characters that you really like in the story. I really like how this book also sets up things that I think are going to play out in future books in this series. It's got a lot going for it. These creatures that adults turned into, these creatures are starting to develop as well, evolve, they're thinking, and because of that, they're more dangerous. And you get that impression early on in the book. Then towards the end, there's a twist, and one of those creatures starts to lead other creatures and becomes sort of a leader, and that just is a sense of danger in this story. And it's almost like a cliffhanger, not really, but it gives you the impression you have to keep reading to find out what's going on, because I get the impression that's going to play out and become more dangerous for characters in this series. And that's one of the draw cards, I think, to this series. The author's able to just build up this atmosphere and tension, this feel of danger in this first book so much. It keeps you reading in the series. I can't wait to read more in this series. During September, I read 2 series set in the world of Deltora, and they're both written by Emily Rodda. They're young adult fantasy, and I think they're junior young adult fantasy. They're very quick books to read, but I enjoyed them a lot. The first series I enjoyed more than the second series, and the first series in this world has 8 books, and I enjoyed every book in this series very much. They just got a lot of action, a lot of magic, a lot of wonder in the books. They kind of feel like you're immersed in this world. Even though they're short books, you're immersed in the world, and the main characters and other characters in the story are very well described. The action's very well described. There's a lot of danger in the series, a lot of daring, a lot of challenges to overcome. There's puzzles that the main characters have to solve to, overcome these quests they have to complete. And it's like one of those books where there's quests. So in each book, the main characters have to go to a different area and have to complete a quest. And to do that, they've got challenges to solve, they've got threats to overcome, they've got monsters to kill, they've got other characters in the world who are trying to harm them. So there's all these things, all these dangers going on for these characters, and that makes all these books very exciting. Even though it's all about quests and challenges, it's not hinged on prophecy. So it's not like a fantasy series where there's a prophecy that's leading things. And I think I enjoyed that in this book. Even though I enjoy fantasy books that have a lot of prophecy behind them, I think in this book not having prophecy just made it more dangerous and daring, I think, because it doesn't have that prophecy where you think, okay, the prophecy says this and that, so this and that's going to happen. It doesn't work like that in this book. So the danger, the daring, the adventure, it feels more dangerous. It feels like the characters could come to harm in this series because there's no prophecy protecting them. I do enjoy this world and this series very much. The books are just very enjoyable, even though they're for that young adult audience and the junior side of young adult audience. I think any age could enjoy these. And reading reviews on these books, I see a lot of reviews from people who are rereading these in their adult years, who are at the right age when they first were published. I wasn't at the right age when they were first published. I wish I was, because I think I would have enjoyed these books very much at a young age as well. Good books, a great author. I read the second series in this world as well, which were 3 books in that series, but I didn't enjoy the second series as much as the first series. Even though I enjoyed the second series very much, it wasn't as great as the first series. During September, I read a lot of Agatha Raisin books, and Agatha Raisin is a cozy mystery series written by MC Beaton, and I enjoy this series very much. I'm going through the books for the second time. I've read them a few years ago, but I want to read them all again. I do like Agatha Raisin as a character, one of my favourite characters in fiction from all time. She's a really good character, but she can be divisive as a character. When you read reviews about this series, some people just don't like her at all, because she can be a bit acerbic. She can be a bit rude sometimes to people. She can get into a huff sometimes, get angry sometimes, but then she can be caring as well in the series. She can be kind, can be gentle. There's all different sides to Agatha. And I like the whole development of Agatha as a character as well, because she has doubts about herself, about where she fits in life. She has doubts about other things going on in the world around her as well. She feels like a real person because of that, because we all have doubts at times, don't we, about certain things. We all doubt ourselves or other people or where we are or what we're doing, and she does that in this series, many times in the series, and it makes her feel real because of that. She's got vulnerabilities, even though she's very strong on the outside at times in the series. She can be vulnerable, and she can be, she can need comfort and support from other people at times as well. But I like how she just fits in her new life. Of all the books I read in the Agatha Raisin series in September, these 5 stood out to me as the best I read during the month. And I did read more, I think, in September than these 5, but I mentioned the 5 in this video. The books are Agatha Raisin and the Murderous Marriage, Agatha Raisin and the Wellspring of Death, Agatha Raisin and the Witch of Wyckhadden, Agatha Raisin and the Fairies of Wyckhadden, and Agatha Raisin and the Love from Hell. All 5 of the books are special for different reasons, but mainly because of Agatha. She shines so much in these books. Everything about her is just wonderful in those 5 books. In each of the books as well, the mysteries are very strong. Other characters in the books are strong as well. MC Beaton just writes good characters, I find. And the support characters, the regular characters in all these books are written very well. There's certain characters in this series I just love. Mrs. Bloxby, who's the vicar's wife, I love her in this series. We have Sir Charles, who pops in and out of Agatha's life at different times. He's a great character as well, very engaging, very fun, brings a lot of life to the books, I think. We have James in these books as well. I don't like James as much as the other characters in this series, but he's important because he plays a big role in Agatha's life at certain times in these books. And he's a big driver for Agatha in the village as well. There's a kind of a weird romance thing that goes on between them at certain times. It's not a romance of the ages. It's a strange romance. They're like 2 separate people who like their separate lives, but keep thinking they'll work well together. And it's really strange to see sometimes in this book what happens when they're trying to work out this kind of romance angle between them. Can they have a romance or not? Can they live together or not? And it makes for good moments in the story, but you kind of wonder, why do they keep doing it? They're just 2 people who feel so different that they don't work together in the story, but they keep trying. That plays a big role in this whole series. So for that, James does stand out in this series a lot. There are other characters in the village of Carsley that stand out as well, some more minor characters, but I enjoy all the characters in these books. They're all fun, they're all vibrant. Some are dangerous, of course, because some are villains, some are culprits in crimes, but they all have special things about them. MC Beaton has a knack of getting down the characters and getting to like the bare bones of characters very quickly. So for all those reasons, I like this series, and I like these 5 books that I read in September very much. I also want to mention 3 arcs I read in September. They're all horror stories, but I did enjoy them all for different reasons. So first is Downpour by Christopher Hawkins. I enjoyed that quite a lot. It wasn't wonderful, but it was very good. And it had this kind of horror element of rain and isolation. So it's all about a family, and they're stuck in their house during this strange rainstorm. And the rain was quite strange. It wasn't natural rain. And they were isolated, cut off from the rest of the world. And I like that in this story, them being isolated, add a lot of drama, tension, suspense sometimes as well, as they try to work out what's going on with this strange rain. And rain as a horror element is not new. It's used quite a lot, I think, in modern times especially, but it had a twist in the book that made it interesting. So if that interests you, check out this book. And I do have a video on this book on my channel. Another book that was an arc is Let Him In by William Friend. This was meant to be gothic horror, but I didn't get strong gothic horror vibes from it. It is creepy in some parts, and the creepiness comes from these twin characters, these twin girl characters in the story, and this imaginary friend they have in their house. And it's all about, is this friend imaginary or not? And this imaginary friend makes them act in different ways, sometimes dangerous ways, sometimes creepy ways, outlandish ways as well. And it was a very interesting story because of that. It's also a story that talks about grief. In this book, the mother of the two girls had died about a year ago in the past, and the girls and their father and the sister-in-law, so the dead lady's sister, are trying to work through their grief. And it all felt so real in this story. All the grief on each character felt real. And I think there was a good balance by the author to have that in the book. So for those reasons, this book is interesting. I think it's worth a read if you kind of like soft horror. And it wasn't that horror-like. It was a little bit creepy, but had some horror elements in there. But it was more character study around grief. The last arc I want to mention for September is The Horror at Pleasant Brook, written by Kevin Lucia. This is also isolation horror, but a small town is isolated and the people in this town. This is more a horror that's creature horror. It's a bit bloody and gory and violent, not extreme blood and gore. It's not splatterpunk territory like Richard Lehman is, but it's enough to be bloody and gory, I think, and satisfy some horror fans out there. Even though this is set in modern times, I got this 80s vibe from just the way it was written. The scenes in there felt like an 80s vibe to me. It gave me vibes of things like Halloween and Friday the 13th, those movie franchises, and I enjoyed both franchises very much. And it just had that feel to it, the way scenes played out, the way the horror played out, the way certain scenes where people were attacked or killed, all that thing played out like those movies to me. So for me, big 80s vibe in this book, even though it's set in modern times. But I did enjoy the book. I think horror fans will enjoy it very much. There you have a little rundown of some of the things I enjoyed in September. I hope some of these books pique your interest, and check them out on my channel. For all these books, there'll be a video now or in the future. On my channel, I review books of all different genres. Check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to a video for a book I'm sure you'll enjoy.